Hello and welcome back to Skyhawk Sports Talk here at Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee. Gregory here with me, Chris Brinkley. Another exciting episode in store for all of our fans here of the podcast. Gonna have a fun episode. Talk to head coach Jason Simpson, the UT Martin football team, the home opener this Saturday. Makayla Robinson from UT Martin soccer. Head coach Anthony Palacio, or rather assistant coach Anthony Palacio for the cross country team, and then athletic director Kurt McGuffin, the boss man, will be on with us today later on. So Chris, fun episode that we're going to have, and we're going to also take a look here at This Week in Skyhawk Athletics.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's always good to be at Zaxby's every Monday. We're here at Zaxby's. You can watch the show live. Tell us what's going on this week.
Yes, so starting out with golf there at the SIUE Doling Invitational at Gateway National. That is today, Monday, and then that will go through Tuesday. You can follow that on live stats. Volleyball, they will host Southern Illinois tomorrow night, Tuesday night at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. And then they will hit the road to play in the Missouri Invitational. They take on the Missouri Tigers out of the SEC at 6:30 p.m. on SEC Network Plus on Friday. And then on Saturday, they will play Kansas City in Como as well. That one will be at 4 p.m. with live stats for that. Soccer, they'll be at Evansville on Thursday at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. And then they'll take on the number 7 ranked Memphis Tigers on Sunday on ESPN Plus. Cross country, a home meet in Union City. That will be this Saturday. That is the UT Martin Cross Country OVC preview. Women will run at a 6K at 9 a.m., and the men will run a 8K at 10 a.m., so make sure to get over there to Union City. We'll talk to Coach Tony a little bit more about that, get you all some more information if you want to go check that out. And then later on Saturday, the football team, their home opener against North Alabama, kickoff will be at 6 p.m. We'll have coverage on the Skyhawk Sports Network starting at 5:30. It'll also be on ESPN+. Mm-hmm. Now let me just catch my breath here for
No, and it's the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, the
Hall of Fame
yes.
ceremony will take place earlier in the day on Saturday.
And we'll talk to Kurt McGuffin, athletic director, about that as well. Well, we will take a break, and when we come back, our first guest of the show, Makayla Robinson from the UT Martin soccer team. Keep it right here on the Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast. Gregory here with Chris Brinkley. Joining us, our first guest of the show, senior from the UT Martin soccer team, Makayla Robinson, otherwise known as Mackie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
First of all, I love your necklace.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's my
Has your
trademark.
name.
Yeah, it's like my trademark necklace.
This is fantastic.
Yes, I wear it everywhere, except the soccer field.
Except the soccer field. Can't have it
that's
on there.
amazing. I want
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Not with your name. But
No, yeah.
Just say Chris.
You guys need one. It's like a trademark necklace.
Okay, now we're going to have to order one.
Yes.
We're going to have to get one for both of us. So you're a senior now from El Cajon, California, went to Helix High School. So talk about first here, starting out the journey now, getting from high school on to UT Martin, California to Martin. I feel like that's a little bit of a jump.
Yes, it's a big jump. I get that a lot, actually. Like, my class is like, Martin,
The icebreaker.
California.
Yep.
Wait, what's going on? Well, pretty much in high school, like I was in school when like COVID was happening and stuff. So basically I had this plan. Well, my parents were like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I did. I had this plan to go to a school in Chicago. But, COVID happened and like the coach got fired and it was just a lot. So now I'm like a senior now and it's like, okay, what am I going to do for school? Like what's happening? So luckily, I reached out to a few schools. I talked to my coaches, and Martin came up, and they gave me the best deal. And here I am, UT Martin.
Here you are in rural Northwest Tennessee.
Your senior seasons when COVID happened, your senior year in high school?
Like my junior year high school, but that was going into senior
What was
year.
that like?
It was a very stressful time because at that point, like, I'm not playing soccer either. So, I don't have as much film as I would like to have, like recent film and like, I stopped. A lot of college coaches had like the automatic thing where it was like, oh, like we're not taking any more players right now, with COVID and stuff. And
the restrictions with COVID were different in California than in Tennessee.
We couldn't play at all. We couldn't. I remember a lot of weekends when they did allow us to play, we had to like practice in boxes, but we couldn't actually play in California. We used to play in Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
we used to play in Arizona like every weekend, like a 5-hour drive every weekend.
Oh, my
Stay
goodness.
the weekend. Yeah.
Just to play soccer.
Yes, just to
Yeah.
play soccer.
My
Yeah.
goodness.
So you
Yes.
come over here now. Your 4th year here at UT Martin.
Yes.
Starting out as a freshman. How was the transition? I know homesickness obviously was
Oh,
probably
yes.
a huge thing. So how did you deal with all of that and get adjusted here to life in Martin?
I can't lie. At first, it was definitely a struggle. I probably cried almost every other day wanting to go home, but I realized like I was put here for a reason, definitely. And here like I came in as a freshman, and luckily I got a starting spot. So, that was already a plus as a freshman, and I think that's what like really pushed me to stay and wait it out. Like I would talk to my parents. They're like, well, you're lucky you're even playing, because most schools like freshmen don't even play. So, I was at the point where I was like, okay, like I could push through it. And, eventually like I started getting closer with my teammates and like building relationships with everybody. And I think that's what really helped me want to stay here, because like I feel like I made a family here now, and it's like they always have my back. They're constantly supporting me. I know like some days aren't my best, but I noticed that some of my teammates sometimes notice that, okay, I'm not doing as well. They check up on me. They're like, oh, you want to go here? Oh, you want to do this, do that? Like keep my mind off things. So I think that's what really helped me stay. And like from a freshman to now, that's what really pushed me to stay at Martin.
Yeah, I mean, when you're not far away, you could go home on the weekends. You don't really have that luxury.
Yeah, and I know a lot of them are from close around here.
Yeah.
So like they go home on weekends or like breaks. But like we have some like international people too, and like I stay and hang out with them. Like I just find it good that we're like a team where like I can hang out with anybody. It's not like I have to be with one group. Like I feel comfortable with everybody on my team to hang out with them, stay with them. So I think that's what really helped too, because I know like a lot of my friends, like even that play back home, they're like, oh yeah, this girl on my team, she hates me. Like, it's a lot of like drama, and we're girls, like there's always drama with girls, so everybody's like has emotions and like all these other things going on. So I think that's a good thing about being here, is what really helped me stay.
You bring a good point up that we've never really talked about with athletes, but sometimes teammates aren't the best of friends, but you're working together for a common goal.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy thing to do, I guess.
Yes, it's definitely not.
Yeah, and talk about some of that chemistry you built up, I guess, from your freshman year and then now to here in 2024. How has that helped you and just build up that chemistry that can help you on the field too?
Yeah, on the field, well, now especially like I just feel like we know, well, the girls that I've played with since my freshman year, like we know each other. Like we know we are able to play to our strengths and like our weaknesses. Like I'm more of a player where like I'm used to like running onto balls rather than, I wouldn't say I'm like the best with having the ball at my feet, but I'm used to like running onto balls. So like I know like when I play like with Izzy and like Brooke, Parker, like they know like, okay, I'm the player that's going to run onto the ball and take the ball forward. So I think that's what really helped us have that chemistry and like the strong foundation of like seniors on our team, because we know how each other plays like from freshman year to now.
Yeah.
So I think that's like really good for our team. And I think that it's helping rub off on like the newcomers as well, because now they're like, okay, she plays like this. They know that she plays like this, so now we're going to play the ball like that.
Do you learn more about how you play and your teammates play in practice or in games?
I say in practice, definitely, because then there's like common patterns you see in practice every day with your teammates. So, yeah.
And so I've noticed in the past couple of media days you've had a Jamaican flag during media days that you take pictures with. Talk
Yes.
about that background that you have and where does that start?
Well, basically, my dad is Jamaican. He was born in Porus, Jamaica. And so my background comes from that. I'm very proud of my heritage. I'm not as well, I've been to Jamaica once in my life, sadly, but I was supposed to go a few years ago, but COVID and stuff happened. And my grandma is also very elderly now, so we don't want to spread anything to her.
She's in Jamaica?
Yeah, she's in Jamaica, yeah. But I'm very proud of my heritage. I love my Jamaican family. A lot of them stay in the States now, but like they stay like on the South, so I don't really see them because I'm in California. Like they're in like Florida and Georgia, but
Well,
yeah.
you're closer in Tennessee.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I've got to see a few of them lately, but hopefully soon I'll be able to see some more. But yeah, very proud of my Jamaican heritage. So that's why I was like, know what? I seen I was trying to get like media day ideas, and I'm like seeing everybody with their flags. I'm like, wait, let me bring my flag.
Yeah,
So,
Right.
No,
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
What about the music? Do you like the music, Jamaican?
Oh
Yeah.
yes, I love reggae. I love
Yeah,
reggae.
Me too.
Yes,
Did
that's
you-
good.
Did you see the Bob Marley movie?
Oh no, I haven't seen it. I actually haven't seen it. My
Yeah.
parents are like, you need to see
You
it.
need
but
to
my-
watch it, yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of Jamaica is a character in
Yes.
that movie. I feel like.
Yes, definitely. I haven't watched it yet, but I heard it was good. So.
And
I'll
Chris and I
definitely-
are big fans, of course, of food.
Yes.
Jamaican food.
Oh.
What's your
Yeah.
favorite Jamaican dish?
Oh, I thought she'd never ask. Curry chicken.
Oh,
Curry
yeah.
chicken.
Yeah.
I love. My dad makes the best curry chicken. Every time I go home, that's the first thing I ask for. I'm like, Dad, can you make curry chicken? And he makes it, and it's funny because like I'll eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't care. Like I'll eat it
Yeah.
at any time of the day. I love curry chicken.
And that's how I am whenever I go back home to Knoxville. I'm like, okay, Bojangles. That's my one stop. I have to go to Bojangles. That is my one stop whenever I go back home. So that is awesome.
Yeah.
So you got here 2021, correct?
Yes,
So
I
you're part
did.
of that championship team.
Yes,
First
yes.
first question about that is what made that team special, and now how can you all make it back to the top? And what are some similarities that you see from this team to that one?
So definitely starting. I think coming in, it was good that we had a lot of older girls on our team, like a strong foundation of upperclassmen, and especially because like that was the year like they got their 5th years as well. So we had like 5th years and a lot of seniors. I think that really helped, and I think now that we have, probably like there's 4 or 5 of us that were on that championship team, and I think that's good that we have like the knowledge and the background of knowing what it takes to get to a championship. I think that's what's really going to help our team this year when we start playing conference. So I think that's something that really helped with our championship team because we definitely had the leadership of older girls because like coming in from like club in high school, like we don't know how college girls play. Like college is like so much faster and so much like more physical than how we would normally play like in high school and stuff. So like I think just having them with the background knowledge and like spreading it to us, I feel like the seniors now could help our team with that knowledge as well.
Awesome. And now we talked to Parker last week.
Mm-hmm.
We need an update. Did the road trip tradition of freshmen singing, did that happen on this last road trip
It
to
did
Louisville?
not happen
Oh
yet.
my goodness.
We're waiting for a road trip where we stay the night
Okay.
because normally we'll go stay the night and then we go in the hotel room and we ask questions. Like we just get to know more about our teammates. So we're like, oh, like 21 questions. Like what's this? What's that? What's that? Like it's like we haven't got to do our tradition yet, but hopefully coming soon we'll be able to. But
I was about to say. I mean, if we
Did you sing when you were a
Yeah.
freshman?
What
Oh.
was your
And
song?
What was your song? Yeah.
Single Ladies by Beyonce.
Oh,
I was like, oh, the
yes.
Single Ladies.
I love
Single
it.
Ladies.
You got a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was, I did it solo too. Some of them had partners, but I was
See,
solo.
Parker did it with Brooke, is what she told
Yeah,
us.
I was by
Yeah.
myself. I did a solo.
Is there evidence out there that this happened?
There might be. I'd have to
Insert
look
the clip
back.
if we get it right now.
Okay.
Insert the clip in the podcast.
I have to
if we
look
get it.
all the way down.
I have a feeling it would be good though. I mean,
It probably would. It probably would. But before we let you go, so this is going to be a very long road trip for you all. You're not going to come home to Skyhawk Field until, I think, September 29th.
Yes.
So I know that this time was so special last year for the team to build up some chemistry, to get to know Coach Varga with it being his first season
Yeah.
as well. Obviously, there's a lot to look forward to. I know playing on the road, some people don't like it.
Yes,
but
yes.
what are some of the positives you're looking to gain from this long road trip?
Some of the positives, I definitely think one thing that we're working on is learning how to play different teams with different types of playing styles because I feel like we're accustomed to like playing with each other and how we play and like we're used to playing teams that have like the same formation like 4-3-3 yes. Recently we've been playing teams with like different formations and even yesterday like we had changed our formation in the second half and we did fairly well, so I think this would be a good learning opportunity to learn how to adjust and how to continue to play our game because I feel like sometimes when we play teams that we know we could beat, we don't play up to our full potential. So I think that's something we definitely could learn and like grow from as we're on this long road trip. Definitely like, taking our experience and like saving it for conference. So now we know because we'll also have to be on the road a lot for conference as well. So I just think with that, we'll just have to learn how to adjust well to different, environments, different play areas. Because, like even some teams have like turf fields and we have a grass field, like simple things like that. So I think it'll be good for us to learn and adjust and, get more comfortable on the ball with each other.
Awesome. Well, Makayla, thanks so much for joining us.
Yes.
Good luck here in the rest of the
Thank you.
season. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will have UT Martin assistant cross-country coach Anthony Palacio joining us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And we're back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory here alongside Chris Brinkley. Joining us now, UT Martin cross-country assistant coach Anthony Palacio, as UT Martin having their first home cross-country meet since 2021. First, Coach Tony, thanks so much for joining us here on the show today.
Yep, glad to be here. And yeah, it's been quite a while and in a very different location for our home meet this year,
Right, and
too.
so that first one, the Soybean Invitational, was in Martin. This one is going to be in Union City, so we've got a lot of questions about just some information for the meet. Hope you are ready for everything we have to throw at you for this one. So, again, last one was here at UT Martin. Again, I was in college during that time, but I do remember running around Pacer Pond. That's where the meet was. Talk about some of the details for this meet. What's the track going to look like? What's the map going to look like here for this race?
Yeah, so the first meet over in the Pacer Pond was very confusing. A lot of different intricacies of it, but for Union City, it's a pretty straightforward course. There aren't any hills. Like, most of this area is pretty flat, so it's all grass, a couple of road crossings. It's 2-kilometer loops for the most part, which is one of the better ways to kind of create a course. That way, for the guys' race, we don't have to do 5-mile loops, and
Right.
it's a little bit easier. You can kind of maneuver to kind of cut up some of the field a little bit, so there isn't just a big bunch of people at every single turn. You can kind of string them out a little bit, make sure it's a little bit more lined up.
So are you over by the soccer fields or part
Yes.
where the baseball?
We're on the soccer
Awesome.
field. So
Okay.
there's the
And the disc golf course is over there too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So another little pastime. I'm sure we'll have some people out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we start next to the airplane field. So we're on that side, go all the way down towards the soccer fields, wrap around the soccer fields, up towards the disc golf courses and some of the holes. And then we go back onto the upper part on the left where there's a little bit more grass and big field. We'll do a little S and just kind of do loops of that. And then the last loop for both the men and women is a mile with a 400-meter finish, which is a long way for a cross-country. You turn the corner and you think, okay, it's time to go, it's time to kick. And that is a lot
There's a lot of
longer.
running left to do.
But I take it that was by design.
Yeah, it was a good way to have a good finish, especially for conference when it comes around, since it ideally would be the same course as long as there aren't any issues. Very spectator friendly. You're able to go see people run towards you. You get to see people trying to beat each other, trying to get those placement points for team titles and for program best and all that. So you can see all of it coming towards you. There's a ton of open space. Some of the buses are probably going to be off the road in the middle, just because some of the parking by the baseball fields is very, very confusing. So they're either going to be in that first parking lot by the small baseball field, and some of the team vans will be in there as well. But ideally, it's a great spectator course. Ideally, it's a very straightforward course. The people I've been working with at Union City have been very helpful. They're going to start cutting it this week for the race on Saturday. Make sure that they don't cut it 2 weeks in. Early, and then everything
and then
comes
everything
back up.
comes back up, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so it's been good. I feel a lot better working with that group. Talking to them last week and making sure that we have all the right ideas going forward. They want it to do well. They don't want to just, mow it and be like, yeah, we're done.
Right.
Like, they want to make sure that
Attention
it's good
to
for them.
detail.
Yeah.
Right.
You've been
So-
working with Robin.
I started with Robin, and I've been working with Hunter.
Okay.
Who just
Good
started.
crew over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a whole mix of
Yeah.
all of them, which
Yeah.
has been good.
We talked to Jolita Henderson, head coach, about just planning this and when did this all start to say, okay, we're going to have another home meet and we're going to do it at Grand Park in Union City?
It definitely started last year once we knew that we were for sure going to host conference for cross country. The first thought was hosting it out on the rugby field and just kind of trying to make loops like that, but parking is a bit of an issue with that.
Right.
I would have to do loops and back and forth and back and forth, and I think that just kind of takes away from some of the actual like racing and spectator like wanting to go watch, and you know, you just kind of, you know, looks like ants just kind of crawling back and forth. Like that's not.
And it
super
changes the
appealing.
way you run too, right? Because you can't just let it go.
Yeah. So I think it would have been great to have it on campus, but I don't think this gives us the best opportunity for fans to want to be there. They have to park, you know, far away. They have to walk over. They'd have to do all this other stuff. It'd be hard to kind of have long sections for the race to kind of string out. Like if you're constantly turning, it's hard to get a rhythm, hard to, you know, maintain the speed, maintain your position in a race.
Davis, we should go run it a couple of days before.
I think
I'm
Chris and I
kidding.
will have to test it out. We're gonna have to. We'll test it
We
out
could
for
walk
everybody else.
it. We could walk
Yeah,
it.
no, we're walking it. We're not running it.
At
We're
least
not running
one loop, you know.
it. Yeah,
good
one
little morning
one
walk.
loop before exactly morning
Yeah.
walk. Let's go out there Friday and
Okay.
let's get our steps in,
Okay.
and then we'll fill up the exercise ring, and we'll come back. We'll report to you.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that we get a good report for the course. But so. Coming into this meet, I mean, you go back to the Memphis Twilight Classic. Men finished second behind Ole Miss, who's a very good team, and the women 6 out of 14, but still some very good finishers and freshmen that were finishing very well in that scoring 5. Talk about what impressed you from that first meet.
Yeah, so I mean, usually we are a little bit more conservative for a first meet. It's a long season and just trying to get them to be able to race well the whole season, and a lot of that went into like some of our scheduling, you know, especially having a home meet, going to Gaines Creek, which is a national class race this year. Kind of having them be ready for that, be ready for a lot of the training that we want to do to be really good, to do well in the conference. So their training was a lot harder this year, and it showed that they had a lot better fitness going into the race. So a lot of them were still conservative and ran very well. A lot of them held paces that they thought they couldn't hold. It was great to be so close to Ole Miss. I think they're ranked top 25 in the country. Second in the South. We beat some other teams that are ranked pretty high in their regions. Some of it's kind of like what I was saying. They probably weren't fully racing, but it's still nice to say that we beat them.
Right, of course, of course.
Yeah, I mean, some of the standouts, obviously the top guys, Luke, Sam, for the guys. Angus ran really well after a very busy summer last year, coming from New Zealand and having a lot of races in the summer over there. Brady ran well, and then one of our top freshmen, Keegan, came in and was our 5th, someone we definitely see in our top 5 being a consistent scorer. And then the girls, yeah, that was great. I was happy. Beat some teams that are good to beat, and Maggie always kind of needing that confidence of running well in cross, and we, you know, sat down and talked about goals, and she's seeing herself as one of the best runners in the conference now, and seeing that early really helps her out, especially for this meet when we're going to race SEMO and USI and Tennessee Tech, who consistently have all conference runners. That's great. I'm excited to see how she races, how she approaches this race. And, you know, the 2 freshmen, Danielle and Reese, great. Very fun to watch them train together. Some of it's kind of how much can I hold them back and how much can I push them forward and say, yeah, go after it on that workout, go after it. But also, like, yeah, they're running really well. It's a freshman. I want to keep them running well the whole season. The course is a little long, but both of the freshmen ran lifetime 5K PRs. On top of that, even without their, you know, like taking 20 seconds off. So it was great. Really just kind of told them, you know, I don't expect much from this meet as far as like having super high expectations. Go have some fun. It's your first college race. Like, what have you got to lose? Try something new. Have fun. Like, it's nice. It's, you know, nighttime. Pretty much everyone's family was there, which is great, having it in Memphis. And, you know, went really well. I think some of the other girls are gaining fitness again. They've had a lot of kind of rocky summers over this summer. And I think some of the goals that we have as a team for the men and the women, I think, are very much in reach. And I think Memphis was a great start, and now we got to test ourselves against teams that finish in a top 3 or top 4 in our conference every year. So
Right, and who have we got that's going to come here? I know it's the OVC preview, but what teams do we have?
it's a bit of a smaller race with teams, which is good. Kind of see how the course runs with everyone. It is us, Tennessee Tech, Tennessee State, SEMO, USI, Murray State, and then a couple from Lindenwood. I think that's it. So, like I said, you know, USI, SEMO, and Tech, they've had OVC champions in a lot of events. They've had perennial, top finishes, top 3, 4. I think all of those teams beat us last year for the men and women. And now it's time to see how our team stacks up compared to them last year and this year. And, they lost people from last year. We lost people from last year. They gained people from last year. We gained people. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how, one, the course races, see how that looks. But two, seeing how we stack up against each other. And we're going to be racing each other for the next couple of weeks with some of the schedules that we have.
Absolutely. So last question before we let you go. If you are a fan for Saturday, what needs to be the fan schedule? Where do people need to be set up, parking? What needs to be their go-to spots?
I would say the probably the best area to watch would probably be towards the front of the race. Excuse me. So you start here, and then there's a lot of loops, or there's a S-curve that you do here, and then you'll be able to see them kind of go the entire down about 400 or 500 meters all the way down to the end of the loop. The end of the loop's just kind of an L turn, so that part may not be as exciting. I've seen them loop around and try to get position on each other and try to, come through each 2 kilometer mark and see where they're standing, see where the teams are at. I think that's going to be a good spectator spot. Parking is a lot more on the baseball side just because we have all the vans and buses and stuff that will be there. So it'd be good. Early enough to not be super early, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., good race time. So
you get your morning coffee, Chris.
That's right.
You get your morning coffee, and you wake up a little bit earlier, get your shower in, and you go out there and you watch the teams compete. I mean, it's going to be a great time. It's going to be an awesome time in Union City. Coach Tony, thanks so much for joining us here on this episode of Skyhawk Sports Talk.
Thank you.
And we will take a break, and when we come back, we will have UT Martin Athletic Director Kurt McGuffin join us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And back here on the Skyhawk Sports Network on Skyhawk Sports Talk, Davis Gregory here with me, Chris Brinkley, and joining us now, UT Martin Athletic Director Kurt McGuffin, as we've got a couple new things to talk about for home games. Also want to get into more of the job and how things are going this year, too. But thanks so much for taking time out of, we know, your busy day to come join us here at Zaxby's.
Well, I appreciate it, too. You guys do a great job here, and I love having it at Zaxby's, and our fans and coaches like doing it, so it's good to get the information out to people.
Yep, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely. One of the goals last year, Kurt, was just to get the community involved and be out talking about our great student athletes, and I think this is really an opportunity to do that every Monday.
Yeah, it's great for them, too. I mean, Mackie just did a great job with soccer, and just having them on and hearing from them, and I think our fans love seeing them and hearing them as well.
And parents, too.
Yeah.
I mean, and they also get to eat free.
And the neat, talking to her earlier, a California background with a dad who's from Jamaica, now coming to Tennessee. It's those stories are what really are just amazing to me.
Yeah, and I expect some curry chicken here
yeah,
pretty
come
soon.
on. Hey, Mr. Robinson, we have
we want some curry
chicken sent over here. We have to. So let's get into it. Clear bag policy for games now, and just, I know Saturday, really the big home opener for football. What do you want our fans to know?
Well, I think, the clear bag thing is just a step towards just some security stuff. At SEMO, you had to go through metal detectors, and we're probably heading that way like most sporting events are, but we've not gone to clear bags yet. So that'll be the first thing. The second thing is just online ticketing, and our season tickets, our gate sales will be all online. And hopefully people buy them ahead of time to skip the line, I guess you could say. So those are two big things. And then the concession stands, we've added multiple you can use debit cards and credit cards, which we've traditionally been cash only at a lot of our facilities. So that's a good thing, and it's been really well received at the other games we've had with that. So looking forward to opening the season. I think it's going to be a good crowd based on ticket sales. And
all three of those things are optimizing what we can do, and it's making it a lot more efficient for the fans ultimately.
Yeah, I think, people don't carry cash anymore and things like that. We're just trying to make it safer, too. Not that we've had any issues, but I think we have to do that with the clear bag thing. And it helps our security people, look through things. So we're looking forward to it.
And again, Hall of Fame game going to be Saturday too. Talk about the Hall of Fame and what we've got going on throughout the day to honor those special athletes.
Every place I've been, Hall of Fames are just one of the most important things you do. I mean, you get a group of people and this year it's representing a lot of decades, going back to '69 and then on all the way up to even I think it's the first student athlete that when I got here is being inducted. So maybe I'm getting old and should move on. But, Hall of Fames are important to schools. It's the best of the best. The people that earn their right when they came to school here, no matter what level they played at, but earn their right. Most of the time they're all Americans or everything. And you've just got to have them and celebrate them. And I think that's what's important. Hopefully we'll have families come back, and at 11 a.m. we'll recognize them in the ballroom on campus, and then again at halftime of the football game.
Let me ask you this. So one of the things I enjoy about the Hall of Fame is the inductees sharing their stories from when they were in college. Mm-hmm. Give us a story from your life of when you were in college that involved athletics that was kind of a game changer for you that led you to where you are today.
Well, I think when I was in college, it was interesting. Kansas State, when we were back there a couple weeks ago, Ski Jones was supposed to be inducted into their Hall of Fame because it was their Hall of Fame the first game. And Ski Jones was a basketball player when I was with the basketball team in my undergraduate days. And Ski and I didn't go to a lot of football games because Ski and I would shoot in Bramlage and then watch the game from the windows. And if the game got good, we'd go out and play. But Ski's thing was I was there at a NIT game to get us to go to Madison Square Garden to get to the Final Four, the postseason NIT. And Ski had 62 points that night, set a Kansas State record. And I was the guy behind the coach, the manager behind the coach with the dry erase board. And the sports information guy would say, Ski needs 7 more points. And we were killing this team, and we had him on the bench, but we had to put him back in.
Yeah.
He had 47 in the second half, went 14 of 18 from 3. So that memory about basketball at K-State
and that was way before people utilized the 3 as much as they do now.
But he could shoot it from anywhere. So that having somebody watch that game and was fun. That's something I'll always remember.
But those remembers, and I know you've got sports memories as a college, but for student athletes and students, period, I mean, we want them to get involved in athletics because those are the magic moments there.
Yeah. And I still have the VHS tape. Chris,
you
and
have
I
the
may know that.
VHS player, though.
The tape that I had. And watch it sometimes. No, I don't have it anymore.
No.
Yeah. And want to touch on that first. Going back to Kansas State, I know that's your alma mater. How special is that to bring up the team and have that as the opening game?
Yeah, it was. We scheduled that game probably 4 or 5 years ago, and to be there on the other sideline, was a little surreal, but I was really proud of our team, and it's the first game of the year, and both teams didn't want to show much or do anything, but it was exciting. I had a lot of tailgates I had to go to beforehand and take part of, and I got my in-laws live there, my brother lives there, so it was an important game to get back to and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And talk about here, we'll move into your number 8 for you, right? Mm-hmm. Your number 8.
Yep.
Talk about handling NIL. I know that's been a big thing. We talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, you come in and so can COVID, NIL.
COVID, transfer portal, NIL. NIL's interesting and something that you've got to get in the game. And we've definitely done that in the last couple of years. But really this year we're taking off with it. And we have a collective, because most of the time you have to go out and set up an LLC and a collective, which we have a Martin Made collective that'll go hopefully for all sports, but at some point, so it's interesting the different states have different rules for NIL, but this is something that we were able to do and set up a collective and start fundraising for NIL amongst the other things.
I didn't realize different states.
Different states have different name, image, likeness rules and legislation. So we are fortunate to live in a state that is written pro-student athlete.
That was my next question.
Okay. We live in a good state for the NIL world as far as student athletes are concerned. And so we're following those guidelines. So we've set up the collective and we'll actively raise money with different avenues. There's different things that people do to try to collect money, and we'll work with our coaches on hopefully every year say, hey, you got this amount, let me, and do the things that by the law that we can do.
But we're really seeing the effects of it, I guess, now, and we'll continue to do so in the next few years.
I think a lot of universities, maybe our size, probably thought, we won't ever see that. It won't ever be a factor. But it's a factor, and we've got to get in the game. And we were one of the first ones, I think, that had a few people 3 years ago on it. But now it's time to be true about it and have a true collective that we can do some things to help out more sports than maybe just the one or two that's affecting, because it's hitting every sport now.
How are you learning what other school? You talk to other athletic directors and administrators. I know coaches are talking to each other, and I'm sure players talk to each other too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's out there. They did that before NIL. You know, what gear do you get? What do you do? So you know, we're just doing things like that, and I think it's going to work out well for us. But it's one of those things where you don't want to rob the people that are given to our Skyhawk Club to give to a collective. So we've got to be creative with it and do some things that will be positive for our coaches and student athletes to do, either retain a kid or get a transfer. You know, I doubt we ever get to a point where every single one of our student athletes is on some NIL like some other schools, but we've got to get in the game, and we've got to impact and help our coaches.
And something that's always been a part of the job as an athletic director, you had NIL, now, but the process in hiring a new coach, you did that 2 times here in this past offseason. Jeremy Schulman with men's basketball, Chelsea Farmer in softball. What's that process that you go through when bringing on a new head coach on the campus?
Well, I think every school's different. A lot of the big schools use search firms, and those cost a little bit of money to go out and utilize. And some of it's kind of what avenue your athletic director is a part of. I've always been involved with basketball and football. Sometimes it's harder to hire a equestrian coach or something like that, but you've got to lean on people that you've trusted throughout your career to give you some advice. But here we've never used a search firm, but I've always leaned on people that I know, that I trust, to have names, and you've always got to be ready. Basketball was one of the things when we hired Ryan Ritter, 3 years ago. We needed that boost. I knew he probably wasn't going to be here that long. I was hoping he'd be here at least 5 years, but we needed a overall change in basketball here, and that was a little different search than when we hired Jeremy Schulman, because it's a different time where you maybe want someone to last longer. We still want to be successful, but maybe he wants to build a little longer, where Ritter we knew probably would win and leave, and good for him. As far as Chelsea's concerned, I've never been afraid to promote within if we think they've done a pretty good job, and I think softball's a little different than men's basketball, and they're different sports. But Chelsea played here, and sometimes at Martin, you've got to have somebody with connections to help with some of the fundraising that is involved with some of our sports that need it. And softball and baseball are heavy equipment sports that don't necessarily get a large budget to handle what they do. In softball, you're traveling 3 nights a week. Whereas, some other sports, it may be just one night. So they don't realize that baseball and softball are troubles. But Chelsea's going to do a good job.
And last thing for Skyhawk Palooza was a couple weeks ago. Great event promoting, our athletic department to the community. Talk about the importance of building this community in Northwest Tennessee that's really a tight-knit group over here.
Yeah, I think UT Martin's got to be a flagship and, allowing people to come on our campus and sell our campus. And, I'm so happy that, Dr. Freeman's just done a wonderful job in his goals of growing enrollment and getting to 10,000 students by 2030. We need to set goals. But community service has always been a big part of athletics, and it should be everywhere, but definitely in a smaller community where we have got to be out front, because that's just where we are. We allow people to use our facilities, and my staff probably gets mad at me for overuse from others people, but I'm a big believer in that, because I think the class, even from the Northwest Tennessee, the freshmen, maybe not our athletes, is one of the biggest ones we've ever had, here this year. And that's probably, I think some of it's because we allow the 1A basketball district or baseball or softball or obviously had the football games. But I think that's important if you're in a smaller community, whereas a big school you can get by with closing down the wall up, raising the walls up and not letting people in.
Yeah, and even from our area, I encourage people, what we have here in Martin and in Northwest Tennessee is pretty amazing. And if you like sports, come and watch all of our sports, because it's a wonderful family experience.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And you go to soccer games, volleyball games, and our student athletes are supporting each other. But even the towns here, and that's really special. Yep.
Well, that is UT Martin Athletic Director Kurt McGuffin. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll take a break, and when we come back, UT Martin head football coach Jason Simpson will join us Skyhawks with their home opener this Saturday. Keep it right here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And back here, final segment here on Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory here with Chris Brinkley. Now joining us, head coach of the UT Martin football team, Jason Simpson, as the Skyhawks, an instant classic this past weekend. Phil DeSimo there in double overtime in the home opener coming up this Saturday against North Alabama. Coach, we start first though with that SEMO game. I mean, great contest between two great football teams, very talented. Just your overall thoughts.
No, it was. I was talking to athletic director right before I sat down, and no, it really was. Give them credit. It was a really good. It was two good teams playing and competed to the very end. A very good atmosphere. It could be a little dangerous at times, okay, a little volatile at times, but no, that was good. We need our stadium to look like that with the fans and the student section and stuff. I challenge our fans to be a part of that, our student body to be a part of that, because those kids were having a great time. They got out of hand a little bit, but they were not at Missouri watching. They were there. The places where they go to school and their degrees from, and they were having a good time with it. So, good game. I'm emotionally past it, okay, and that's what I got to get the message over to our kids. All right, so got 10 games left on the schedule, but we still have to learn from things that we did well and things we need to improve on. I mean, there's a lot of positives in that game. You had 5 3-and-outs that your defense held them to. You had 3 sacks. I think we had 9 pass breakups. Okay, I mean those are things that in some games, man, you're begging for those to get those pass breakups, those PBUs and stuff. Now when you rush for almost 200 yards, against a quality defense, you scored 35 points. All right, but you did turn it over one time. All right, you're 4 of 6 in the red zone, 2 missed field goals. They're 7 of 7 with 6 touchdowns. Those are things you're learning from. You got to, and when you do it, my message to the team and to the staff is that it's not just one play. Oh, they made their field goal, we didn't make our field goal. No, what about the 3rd and 31 where they got 20-something yards back and got back into field goal? What about, having it 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, having the ball up by 2 scores, okay? They only had it 4.5 minutes, but they scored twice. All right, and there's several different. You look at that and you say, well, I was frustrated that we didn't run the ball when they knew we were going to run it. Okay, and then I was frustrated that we didn't stop them enough when we knew they were going to pass it. They had a negative 11 yards rushing. All right, they threw it 64. Threw it 64 times. And the guy's like a little above 50%, and they did not turn the ball over one time in 64 attempts. I mean, that's hard to do. Yeah. Okay, now we were playing a lot of man. So therefore, it's you don't have vision coverage where you can break on the ball and stuff. You're covering guys, but where we're getting enough pressure, only rushing 4, you could debate that. So anyway, there's so many different things too that every person, starting with me, as you go down the line of what you can do better, evaluate what you did, and what I's were not dotted and T's were not crossed, and you got to do it better. That's how I look at it. It's not that you just run lucky. No, you make your luck. Defense did not practice very well Tuesday. Offense did not practice very well. Wednesday we had 2 guys late for weights on Monday. All those things create different distractions. And maybe that's the inches that got you on Saturday that you were looking for. So that's how we approach it, and you move into this week.
It really was a game of inches. We were talking earlier that watching the broadcast on ESPN Plus, and then Davis's, and even the stats, we thought the game was over before it was over. On that one play that was overturned. But as a coach, what did you think it was over, or did you? They were celebrating basically.
Yeah, well, not a whole lot of calls seemed to go our way in the game. So, as I walk out there to shake Tuke's hand, and the official said, "Hey, we're looking at that." And my mind, I thought.
So you were already out there.
Oh yeah, no, and then got everybody to stop, and wow, it came back to it. And then when you watch it on tape, you can clearly see it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so. So now you got a reprieve, and I think you got 2 more downs. I think it was 3rd down now, and then I think we scored on the next play.
Yeah. Yep.
So wow, wouldn't that be?
I've never seen that.
I don't know. I've never been a part of that. So good job by our kids to take advantage of it. And bad mistake for Kincaid to force that ball on 2nd down when you've got four downs to score. And, we got to play the next day. He threw late across the middle and get a very nice play on it. But, no, we have to make better decisions at quarterback there. But, no, the score, and then, maybe you go for 2 there. I mean, that's something you analyze, and you say maybe you go for 2. I'd seen their center kind of come out of the game on the last play that they had scored on. Mm-hmm. And, okay, so now and he was hobbled off pretty good. So, okay, if they're down that, does it give us an advantage now? Well, that was kind of my mind thought. And I'd already run, normally you have 4 or 5 different goal line 2-point plays, and we'd run about 4 of them. There's one more left on the sheet. And I didn't really love it at that point in the game, so that was one of the reasons. And I'm not going to just throw a fade. We don't have 6'6" receivers like they do. They had some tall receivers. So anyway, I wanted to force it to another overtime. You got to sooner or later the mistake's going to come, right? And it did from the standpoint. Now we missed our field goal, but in that last overtime, right? You got them to 3rd and 31. They're out of field goal range. They're going to have to go for it on 4th down. All right, so now you get it to the 3rd, overtime. So many different opportunities, but to give them credit, they found a way and got a big win.
And talking about the good, though, that came from this game, Kincaid at 23 for 33 is 277 yards, 4 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I thought he looked very efficient for the offense.
Yes, first of all, I think he competed very well. Okay, competed very well. He's a competitor. He's tough, and I appreciate him. But he'll be the first one. When we start analyzing this, and look. Okay, some things that I've got to do better to help him with, and receivers got to, and he's got to help himself, is I think only one of those passes, maybe 2 of those passes were down the field more than 10 yards. Okay, a lot of things were thrown based on their coverage structure. A lot of things were thrown in the flat. Tank made a couple great runs, a couple just little bubble screens and stuff. I think he hit Zoe on a outside receiver corner route. I think he hit Tank on another one down the field. I think there was 3. And then the dig for the touchdown that the corner fell down, and Rucker made a nice play. So there was 3 of the 22 completions that were, more than 10 yards down the field. Okay, so, when teams play as man and take away those perimeters, okay, that's a problem. You got to be able to do those. So those are things we got to continue to improve on. But thought he competed very well, and he gave us our team a chance.
And on the ground game, Patrick Smith, transferred from Vanderbilt, he rushes for over 150 yards, gets 26 carries and a touchdown, and the offensive line started to really move well in that second half.
And there were some times where I thought our offensive line really took the game over. You see them pushing the pile, and really appreciate those guys' effort. And I think you'll continue to see Cheeks, kind of grow with those guys. It's probably the first time since high school where he got that many carries. And Arkell was dinged up, so that's why Cheeks had such a heavy workload. But no, he made some really tough runs between the tackle. It's different than last year. Last year we were faster. Sam's Franklin was a different type of back, and the ball got bounced. He could rip off a big run, but if the ball couldn't get bounced, there was not a whole lot of those muddy runs in between the tackle, and I thought Cheeks did a nice job, and that's how their defense is built, to keep you between the tackles, and he did a nice job, and I was proud of the offensive line. There was just a couple plays that, the 4th and 3 or 3rd and 3 where we ran it, and just that was probably one of our. They did a nice job, and we didn't. They knew we were going to run it, and where the ball was coming, and we didn't physically move them. Had a little technique issue, and you come up a yard and a half short. So, but no, there were 70-something plays. I thought our offensive line probably gained a little confidence on some things.
And on defense, you mentioned it earlier, pass breakups. Leading your team was Rob Johnson. Also in tackles, he had 7. Michael Plez, 1.5 sacks, and then Charles Perkins, 1 TFL, and that group made some big-time plays in this game.
Well, we'll start with Robert. We think Robert's, one of our best cover guys. He's very long, okay? But I think he can play even better. I think there's some leverage things that he had some issues with. There was played a lot of snaps. When you're playing man coverage, a lot of snaps now. That's a lot of running. And, but you still have to have proper technique, and you still got to have the right leverage and stuff. So there were some times he got turned around, but because of his length, he was able to get back, he was able to, get back in phase, as we call it, to the receiver and get his own hand out. But I thought a lot of our DBs played really well through the catch. there was a lot of times where it looked like there was a completion and our DBs would scrape it out, and that's something that's coached and that's something that's practiced. And so that was happy to see that. Mike Please, I thought, played extremely hard. I mean, guys, when they throw it 64 times, and now the ball's coming out pretty fast. I mean, the quarterback did a nice job. We didn't hold it that long. But for a rush, a defensive end, a guy that's rushing, that's still 4 seconds of as hard as you can go, right? Then you're having to turn and go and chase the ball, and so that's a lot of energy spent right there. We're probably a little bit thin in the pass rush, where we had to have him. And Keyshawn came in and gave a couple good rushes as well. But, no, Mike Please, he didn't get to play last year due to transfer rules. So he's a guy that seems to take advantage of, and enjoys playing every snap that he's allowed.
And message to the guys after the game. I know this is a tough one, but still, the season is definitely not over. That's just the second game of the year, and plenty more opportunities present themselves for this team to get into the postseason.
Well, that was kind of the message. You're less emotional today when you see them compared to to after the game. And my first initial reaction was, hey, I don't know what to say. You played extremely hard. As coaches, there's some games that you win that you didn't play particularly well. Mm-hmm. And then there's some games that you maybe don't win, and you did it, and you played hard. Okay, and I think this was one of them. You played hard, and it was a good game back and forth. But as I talked to them, the more frustrated I got, and that's okay. That's my personality, and I think the kids know that. To where we're always chasing in practice perfection. We're always we should be chasing perfection in the games too. Okay, and if you do that and you practice like that and that's your mindset, then that's where you come up with the one more play that you're looking for. So but they'll have to make the decision, and we'll guide them every can that the season's not over. Okay, and I know from the outside looking in, you can say, well, there's 10 more games, okay? But that was, we practiced this summer, getting ready for that game because we knew it was the first conference game against a big rival for us. Okay, so there's an emotional up and down that goes with that, all right? So, but we have to be mature enough to know, hey, you're either going to win it or lose it, okay? Now what was next? If you won and the next conference game you're not ready, ready to play and you lost, then maybe it's it's negated. So, those are the things we'll continue to talk about, and I'll challenge them. And that's one thing I'll say about our program. We don't. It's kind of like in my house, and you can ask my two boys. We're going to tell you your flaws. Okay, we're going to call you out when you're not being the best version of yourself. And there's some clips today that I'm going to show the offense. Okay, these are, and it's almost 1 or 2 per every guy. Okay, and guess what? There's 2 per coach. Okay, of things that I needed to do better in that situation, calls that I need to make as the play caller and stuff. So, hey, we're all in this together, okay? And it's everybody's responsibility to see the mistakes that you made and concentrate and try to correct those.
And I guess the goal is not for it to be those 2 the next game or at
absolutely.
the end of the season.
No, 100%. Find a new mistake. Find a new mistake because you're
We'll make a T-shirt with that.
Find a new mistake because you're going to be back in that same type of situation again. It's coming. Sometimes it happens in the first quarter and you do it right, and then you still win it by 2 or 3 scores, and you don't. Maybe the fans or people who watched it didn't realize that you corrected a mistake that you just made the other night, which resulted in a stop or a score, and then you won going away. All right, but overtime games are tough. We won 2 last year. Okay, but if you remember, Tennessee Tech, it was kind of a circus lucky catch. That we had. Okay, so you have to have. Sometimes you have to have some good things that happen for you. But, they made some plays. There were some outstanding catches that SEMO made. That were really impressive, catches. We didn't have those kind of opportunities, okay? But we had different plays that could have be made, but give them credit. Yeah, and then they still had 3 or 4 drops. They did, and maybe the game gets stretched out a little bit more. But good competition, and
You like the overtime setup?
yeah. I mean, I don't.
I mean, it's obviously fair because both teams have the same rules, but it's changed a lot.
No, from the standpoint of you go to that third overtime now, it's really changed. All right, we went to the 2-point conversion distance and seeing what happened there. Which I think
Does
is
that
good.
make you work on 2-point conversions more in practice?
Well, you know what? You probably should have more.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, sometimes you can look at it and say, well, it's 2.5 yards, so just run a play that you would run on first down trying to get 3 yards. But the problem is the distance. Everything's backed up. The DBs don't have to go anywhere. One or two things. They're either going to go probably blitz 0, make the ball come out, fast, and where you can't get to your second receiver. It's got to be the first guy, right? Or, can they leave 7 there and drop 8 to where there's no space? For different route combinations to get in. So it's kind of a cat and mouse game when it comes to that.
And we'll turn the page now. North Alabama coming up this week. And, Coach, before we get into what the Lions present and everything, going to be the home opener and the Hall of Fame game. 6 Hall of Famers come in this year. 2 former football players and 1 guy who played for you, Joe Gibbs, played from 2006 to 2009. How proud are you of him and the accomplishments and him going in this weekend?
Well, I'm glad you reminded me it was a Hall of Fame game. I've had a lot on my mind. But that's great. I'm glad we got it off the homecoming. I think that's a good strategy as well, so those people can get their due time. But no, Joe Gibbs. I remember when
I'm going to make notes because I'm going to use this in my MC
no,
in the event.
absolutely.
So I'm going to start making
no,
notes.
I remember when we signed Joe. Joe Gibbs was a tight end quarterback guy coming out of Brilliant, Alabama, a little small. I think it's a 1A school now. And right there outside of across the state line there, outside of Tupelo and the Alabama state line there. And I remember Mike Williams, assistant coach, that said, he's not a quarterback, he's a tight end, he may even grow bigger than that. Boy, was he right. The first year in 2006, when Joe got here, I mean, he started at tight end as a blocking tight end, and then the next year I think he moved to maybe guard, and I think he finished his career at tackle. But, I mean, just didn't say a whole lot, led by example, just reliable, just a team guy. Just can't say enough of him. I remember when his dad used to come up to a lot of practices and scrimmages, and he's currently, he's recently passed in the last several years. And Joe's actually a high school coach, I believe, in Tuscaloosa now. And so it's pretty neat. But I think the world of him. I mean, I think we signed about, if y'all, you wasn't even born yet. But.
I was 5, so close to it, close enough to.
I do remember, Coach.
But in 2006, we didn't have a whole lot of scholarship. We only signed about 7 or 8 guys in that signing class.
Yeah.
And he was one of them. And they all, I mean, several of them ended up being good players. That actually played. Dexter Anoka and Joe Gibbs were 2 of them in that class. And so went on to play some professional football, got in camp, I think, with the Rams and Green Bay Packers, and then played Arena League for a long time. But outstanding person and fired up for Joe.
And now North Alabama comes into this game. They played the kickoff game against SEMO at the start of the year, 0-3.
Yeah.
But, Coach, they just took Illinois State, number 21 in the country, to the brink. This is a good football team.
No, it's kind of like us guys. We lose this week, right? We'd be an 0-3 team as well, and you'd say, well, look, they played some quality teams. There's no difference, okay? There's no difference. They just got through. They played well, had a couple mishaps against a team, against SEMO, who beat us, right? And then they lose by 24-17 to Illinois State out of Missouri Valley. It's a quality team as well. And then Memphis, who we all think is going to win 9-10 games, and they hold them to about 40 yards rushing. Okay, and when you watch it, it was all contested touchdowns that they had, to where the receivers from Memphis just made a play, with the DB draped all over them, and that's how they kind of got out of the game with the 40-point win. But no, they're good quality team. Last year, remember, we went on the road, we were down 13 at halftime, had to fight back, and they've added players to that team. They've added a quarterback transfer from Stanford. That's a big, strong kid. Threw for 300 yards this past week against Illinois State. They've added another linebacker transfer. There was, I think, Alabama, UAB, and now his name escapes me, but he's a quality player, very physical player at the backer position. You're going to see a lot of different unusual formations and trick plays. They're going to come at any time in the game, and if you don't cover them right, they're going to rip off a big gain of somebody eligible or reverse, and that's their head coaches in that Gus Malzahn tree, and Gus has always done a great job with that, and Dearman's carried on that tradition, and you're going to see 3 or 4 of them maybe, in the first 15 plays.
Wow.
Okay. And, so you got to kind of survive them. And so on defense, they're a 4-man front, and they have a little unique 3-down that they play with some stack D linemen and a linebacker. So everything's contested. There's really no easy throws. So they got a good team. And but right now, more worried about us and our practice and our preparation.
100%. Now to the fans, I know SEMO had a really good crowd.
Yeah, they did.
But to our fans, I feel like the home opener is always attending well. How can we get that better here for this game? What's your message here to the fans?
Well, one thing I was thinking about, I was hoping you were going to ask me that. I wish I had some video of that SEMO game to be able to just show, hey, these are, and I get it. They have bigger population to choose from there in Cape Girardeau, but, golly, guys, everybody in this community, for the most part, there's a large percentage of us either work on this campus, right, or
someone or related.
Or your livelihood depends on some type of service to this university.
Yeah.
Okay. So so to be able to support things, it affects us all in a certain way. Like Kurt was talking about enrollment. Okay. And he's done a great job with opening up our facilities to the all the different high schools here in West Tennessee. Right. To maybe that was a piece of increase in that enrollment. Okay, which benefits professors, administrators, cafeteria workers, maintenance men and women on this campus, right? It keeps you in a job. We're in a educational but service industry, okay? So the more students we have here, the more people they need to work on this campus, okay? Which in turn keeps Zaxby's busy and other places. So maybe, I believe maybe our football program, right, helps bring other students on this campus, right? Because maybe they see that, hey, they're having success and won 3 conference championships. It's a good environment. I want to go check this out. And when people see our score on the bottom of the ticker, right, it makes our theater department, our communications department, which is outstanding anyway. Maybe other people want to come check it out and see what they're doing over there.
Well said. Yeah.
So I don't know if it is or not, but I'm very passionate about that to where it's not just cheering for the Skyhawks. You're cheering for you're being there in those stands for yourself. You're helping your family out. You're helping probably most people in the within a 30-mile radius. Their degree is from the University of Tennessee at Martin, and so. And when we put 5,000 in that stadium, guys, it is a really good, I don't know, Alex, what was there the other night? What was there, maybe 8,000, 6,000? Okay, but we're not talking about 30,000 people, guys.
Right.
Okay? I mean, that's just, okay, we don't have that type of venue. But, man, to be able to put 5,000 in there and to have fun and to cheer, don't be, like some of the SEMO fans were, but a lot of them, they were just there cut up having fun, okay? Yeah. But, our students, my daughter's a student here now. I'm going to get on her case. How many friends can she get here?
Pie's got to be there.
Exactly, okay? But I thought the kids from SEMO were not just there to check off a box that they attended. Right, they were having fun.
Right.
I mean, they sat right behind our bench, and they were getting after me, and my hair's gray, and I'm not as skinny as I was, and that's cool, man. You know what? And I'm sure there was worse than that. Okay, but that's what I'm asking you guys to do. I need our students to be there first, and then the community members. Man, we need. I've been here 19 years. We've never had great attendance. I mean, I'm just going to shoot you straight. That's one of the things that you want to see us compete for a national championship. We need people there, guys. Okay, with 3 conference championships, that want to go deep into the playoffs to represent this university.
Yeah. Let me say we've had a core group of incredibly loyal fans that are beyond. But to have this great, huge crowd, we just don't consistently have.
No,
that.
We don't. And it's in. When you won 3 conference championships in a row, but you're last at attendance.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not good. We can do better than that. Yeah, we can do better than that. Now we're not. We shouldn't draw what maybe Tennessee State does. With the population of Nashville to choose from here, okay? But like I said, we can do better than what we've done, and it's not just whoever the AD is. How many different ADs have I been through, and everybody's got different ideas to drum up support, and I appreciate all the hard work, okay? But and I don't know who's listening to this, but man, sure would appreciate you, and I think that we all will benefit from it. Not just me, not just the team. The university will, and the community can. Make this place a tough place to play, not just because we've won in the past here, but because there's some environment for the kids to feed off of. And then that makes maybe other potential high school students who want to come here and be involved in that tailgate game day atmosphere, and then they become a graduate of UT Martin, and maybe one day one of them creates something and gives back to the university, and the campus keeps growing.
Yeah, Chris is going to run the shuttle to Dresden. All right? I'm going to run the shuttle to McKenzie, and we'll make sure that we get.
I'm going to tell you like I tell the other team, right? Yeah. Talk is cheap and action is expensive.
Okay,
so
that's very
Don't
true.
say it if you don't mean it. We'll go race right now and see you drive down there and pick them up.
We'll see how quick I can get
what
in
he
there.
is doing, like he's growing a beard.
Well,
Yeah,
I wasn't
did
going
you
to bring
notice
that up.
that?
I wasn't going to bring that up, but
I'm getting it ready for the game, Coach.
you're barely old enough to get in Casey's, the convenience store down here.
I knew it. I knew the second that I woke up this morning, I didn't have time to shave. I was like, I know he's going to bring it up.
Well,
I know it.
Well, I don't usually shave until, it's a long weekend and stuff, and I'll get caught up and shave this week, okay? You've been growing that since birth, and I'm impressed.
Since birth.
I'm impressed.
Since birth.
Hey, I will tell you this. I think Graham had a heavier mustache in the 6th grade than you have.
That is the quote in the history of this podcast. That is number one.
And I mean, I don't even have anything on Graham. He's throwing a touchdown. He threw a touchdown right now. He threw a touchdown right now in his 6th period. He threw a touchdown. I mean, I got him for the most water bottles carried in a Tennessee high school state football game. So there you go.
They've got a good team, so I know they'll get some tougher opponents. But they play at home on Friday. No travel for the Simpsons. Bama plays at 11 a.m., so Judy's not going to be able to make it. So you know what? It's all hands on deck this weekend. We're going to be in Hardy Graham Stadium. It's been a while since we've lost 2 games in a row, much less 3. So I'm looking forward to competing this week.
All the fraternities, sororities, again. Seriously, be there on Saturday.
Well,
we need to make this place rowdy.
Well, you know what? I'm fixing to go call Taylor Haskins, all right? He promotes Pike, all right? I need the Pikes there. I need all the fraternities there. Taylor, I'm going to see you before the game starts and at the end of it. You can't leave early.
And you are there from the first quarter to the final whistle. That's what it is. Coach, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
We'll
Appreciate
talk to
you.
you next week.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And that'll do it for this episode of Skyhawk Sports Talk. Chris had a lot of fun. I feel like a lot of it came at my expense.
It's all good when it's at your expense.
Hey, listen,
not mine.
Coach Simpson is guy. He can do that.
Yeah.
He can do that. Listen, Miss Simpson was the pre-K teacher. We've got that relationship.
Got that history.
100%. Like, hey, listen. It's always a great time. Whenever we can get Coach Simpson joking and having a good time, especially even after a loss too, you love to see it. You love to see it.
That's good stuff.
A great show for us. Chris, any final remarks?
No, go to utmsports.com for all the information. Come to the games this week. They're at our home. Football on Saturday. Congratulations to all the Hall of Fame inductees, and go Skyhawks.
Yeah, and hey, be there at the game. Be there at the game on Saturday. Support volleyball as well on Tuesday. Cross country on Saturday. It's going to be a jam-packed week. Make sure you get out and support our Skyhawks. And we sign off and say God bless from the Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.